Christmas Band. Uh-oh.
I can do it.
Please join me in reading our mission statement, which you can find on this card. Together we say, the Global Center for Christ Consciousness is a spiritual center for students and masters on the spiritual path. We are dedicated to awakening the inner Christ and creating a world of love, peace, joy, and abundance. And now for our sacred reading.
This is a Christmas sacred reading from the Course of Miracles. The sign of Christmas is a star, a light in the darkness. See it not outside yourself, but shining in the heaven within, and accept it as a sign the time of Christ has come. Christ comes demanding nothing, no sacrifice of any kind of anyone is asked. Let yourself be healed completely, that you may join with Christ in healing, and let us celebrate our release together by releasing everyone with us. Let no despair darken the joy of Christmas, for the time of Christ is meaningless apart from joy. So will the year begin in joy and freedom. There is much to do, and we have been long delayed. Take your place in the great awakening. Make this year different from all the others, filling it with love, and let our relationships be made holy for you. It is in your power to make the season holy, for it is in your power to make the time of the coming of Christ be now. And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Those of you who are guests or here for the first time, my name is Michael Mirdad, and I serve here as part of the spiritual leadership. And we'll spend some time in a chat about what's on people's minds, even though it's holiday season. I'll still take some requests so that we keep it relevant to what you're particularly going through at this time in your life. So can anyone, let me borrow a pen, please. Can anyone share what you're wanting me to cover today? Earth in rebirth?
Birth and rebirth.
Birth and rebirth.
Right.
Peace on earth.
Death of a loved one.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. What? Acceptance? Cool, thank you. Happy holidays to you all, and Merry Christmas. Thank you. And hope you enjoyed the first song of the day. The band, which will feature a couple of other members, will be doing a concert this evening. So if you haven't registered, you could do that in the foyer or online. So the folks will make sure that someone's taking care of you in the foyer to register, but you can do that. It's well worth it. So the first request, and the folks online, I'll repeat some of these so that you're understanding what the requests were. But the first request, birth and rebirth, and it's interesting because what I thought they said was earth and rebirth. So I'm going to talk about earth and rebirth. Earth in rebirth and birth and rebirth. The world as we know it is ending. Let's just start off with a happy, joyous. The earth as we know it is ending. And the statement could be made, whether it's God, Jesus, Mother Mary, or me or you, the sentence that it's ending could be said, but the listeners are all going to interpret it differently. Some are going to go, and then start whispering conspiracy stories. And then others are I knew it, the UFOs are coming. The aliens are coming anytime. And others are going to be like, your will be done. It's interesting. One sentence, and everybody will go in different directions with it. it is ending as we know it. And I've been saying this for decades, but it is, except now it's happening. And the message that God would want us to hear is good news. The bad news to that is that it's totally inconvenient to your ego. It's completely inconvenient to your programs. The programs that say, I just want everything to be the same. Well, they're not. And exponentially, it just keeps in huge leaps magnifying change. And we're not going to go back, and we will not go back, and it's not going to happen. We're not going to go back to driving, Studebakers, and those of you who are old enough like me to know what that is, but they basically are submarines on wheels. But we're not going to go back to Studebakers, them sturdy steel cars. We're not going to, he's explaining it to her. Studebakers, well, she's like, what's that? So that's not going to happen, and there's an awakening. But 2,000 years ago, it was the birth of a human being named Jesus who evolved enough and made a choice to embody our divinity, called Christ. Now, it's interesting because, one group calls it one thing, one group calls it another. Once again, one statement can be made and everybody interprets it to their own style. To New Agers, Sananda was born and he's a master, an ascended master. It's more than that. To Christians, it's Jesus Christ, who is God embodied. There's different terminologies, and the truth is, all of them have a little bit of truth to what they're saying. The Jews are waiting for the Messiah. They're right. There is a coming Messiah. They just didn't see when he showed up the first time, and it's okay. Because they're right, there's a Messiah still coming. The Buddhists are waiting for Maitreya, and they're right. Maitreya is coming. But one thing Jesus did that was unique is he embodied all the legends and all the prophecies and all the mythologies. See, that's one thing he did. He became the fulfillment of the Old Testament. He became the master of masters. So it's a very unique role that he played and is still playing. But unfortunately, religions kind of took things in so many different directions that some of us just don't even want to hear about Christ because of what Christianity did to the reputation of Christ. But God is saying, look, I'm really sorry about that, guys. Humans, what are you going to do? I'm paraphrasing what God's trying to tell us, but, what are you going to do? They're humans and they tend to mess things up. And they do. And they organize and they politicize and they, make theological and intellectual something that's experiential. So this is Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas. Happy birth of Christ. And people are out, I got to go get gifts. Oh my God, I can't. Oh, and I got to remember tinsel. And it's just, what a strange, heavy energy. Tinsel's a silvery stuff. Looks like a Studebaker after it's been shredded. After it's gone through a shredder. Anyway. Very, very, very unfortunate what people have done to this because, wow, the birth of Christ. Well, Christ was birthed long before the universe existed. When God said, let there be light, Christ was born. But the human beings, the Christ decided to have an illusionary dream that it was no longer the Christ. It's called amnesia. The children of God opted to try out life without God. That's called the separation. And without getting into all that, my point is, Christ was born when God said, let there be light. That wasn't the sun being birthed in the sky. Just go and read. That's not chronologically what happened. But let there be light was the day we were born spiritually. We were created spiritually. And we decided to wonder what life would be like outside. So the universe was created. We fly into the universe with a state of amnesia. That's why you fly into darkness. That's why the universe was called a darkness. It was a void. You know what? There's no such thing as a void in God. There's no darkness. There's no vast space. It's all light and love. The universe became a place, a playground, some people will call it, a schoolroom, other people will call it, but it's a place of darkness and separation. In God, there's no sense of a planet over there and another one over there. There's no species or races or genders that are different. There's just God. Bliss. So in this, technically you could say the birth of Jesus, the Christ, in a way is not the birth, the remembrance is what really happened. But we call that the birth of Christ. Okay, fine. Spiritually it was born before, but on earth it was born at that time. 2,000 years ago. When they asked Buddha, are you the predicted coming savior of the world? He said, no. There's another one coming. He describes him and said what region he'll be from. Even Buddha understood that this one was going to be Jesus. He was not a regional savior. He was not a deliverer, like, say, Moses. He was not beings that were there to help cultures develop. He's not one of the blue-skinned beings that are spoken of in the Vedas that came to teach the people of the Far East how to conduct life from a higher understanding, which were really beings from the Sirius star system, but I won't go there. Okay? He wasn't any of those. Those were helping people here and there. Jesus' role was not even to be for the whole world, but in fact to unlock the whole universe. And to do that, God, what a job. To come in, you know, some of us can't even get past being the one that's awake in our families. Trying to come to earth where everybody actually worships being asleep. They worship it. They feed it every day. Before Jesus, during Jesus, and after Jesus. They thrive, which is the wrong word to use, but they falsely thrive on the idea of separation. They thrive on looking for their ultimate soulmate. Well, you can't find anything outside that isn't here. So as soon as I find you, you're already up creek. You're already on borrowed time, because eventually I'm going to get wise to the fact that there is nothing outside of me. You pretended to be my forever soulmate. And when I realize that, I'm going to hate you for pretending you were, instead of owning that was my mistake. I can still love you, but from a place of completion. The God in me honors the God in you. The complete me honors that you are a complete being. Now we're sharing what the scriptures tell us, two will join and become one. And so everybody's got this program. Who's going to be the one that's going to make me one? And if I die without them, I'm like, oh my God, how terrible. I was told two shall become one. I didn't find my other. So now I died incomplete. Now I've got to come back and find them again. Try again to find them. But the wording, the two shall become one, really meant when you find someone who you can trust enough to work on yourself, you will become more complete. And so could they. The two shall each become one. Not two halves, but like everything else. A little, put the comma in the wrong place, leave out an appropriate word, and people misinterpret these things. We are as God created us. We are the Christ. We are complete. That doesn't mean don't have partnership or friendship or whatever else on planet Earth. It's just that coming from a place of completion rather than lack. Fear. Some of you are asking about, healing. Well, that's what healing is. Healing isn't actually just getting over arthritis. Healing is of the consciousness. When I forgive myself for all of my false faces, personifications, personas, all of my false masks, the roles I think I played. Give yourself any role and you're not going to do very well with it. The greatest band of all time, they still broke up. And half of them hate each other when they did. So now they got to come back again. But when? because there won't be an earth to come back to in quite the same way. So they got to come back and call the new band the Ascension Team or whatever, or some other planet that still hasn't awakened, or whatever. But it's like, why? Why waste time? Time's an illusion. Why should I keep coming back? I'm allowed to accept my true identity now. So the birth of Jesus as the Christ, from a earth standpoint or universal standpoint, that's the first coming of Christ. Technically, what is the second coming? It's when we all accept that. It's when we all allow that awakening, which is described in the book of Revelation. It's our destiny. How could it not be if God wills that no soul shall perish? It's our destiny. And if it's our destiny, why bother waiting, and prolonging it? Humans, among all their other issues, procrastination. We're the Christ. Why don't we just try it out? Well, okay, fine. I accept the Christ in Jesus. And by the way, you don't study the Jesus history the way I do, so you're going to hell. It's just scary the way people create God in their image. I'm fallen, desperate, fearful, lonely, as one of you asked, and I'm going to tell you what God is like? I'm not a good source. If I'm all messed up, why would you listen to me about God? Why don't we ask God? And that's one thing, among others, that Christ consciousness teaches us, whether it's through Michael Mirdad, through A Course in Miracles, through you or whomever, through song, through poem. That's one of the main pieces, is this is lived through us. If things cannot be forgiven in me, we have to keep working on them. Because the world we created is not a world God has to fix. Ascension is not a gift from light beings. Look, they're not going to show up in ships and say, we just realized you guys aren't going to be able to do this yourselves, so we're going to help you. First of all, why trust them if they just figured that out? Any being with a brain should have gone billions of years ago, wow, these guys are just not getting it. So I don't want any, latecomers for my saviors. The truth is it has to be done through us. That's written in the Aquarian Gospel and other sources of Christ as a consciousness. Even somebody could turn on in this room or turn on their computer and see this talk. And they'll hear the word Christ and they'll go, oh. It could be a fundamental Christian and go, oh, wow, okay. And they listen for a second. And I'll say, and Jesus, he's unique. They'll go, yes, he is. This guy's pretty cool. But as soon as I say, the Christ that was in Jesus needs to be born in you as well, they'll go, oh my God, a New Ager. An anti-Christian. It's sad. And they don't even like each other. One faction of Christianity judging another. Honestly, it saddens me because why can't we get along? If you're a Christian, wouldn't you want to study what Jesus said? I'm pretty sure it had to do with love and acceptance. The whole judgment thing. Why is judgment such a big part of Christianity? It's so strange. The Catholics are saying Mother Mary is starting to speak to a lot of Catholics and non-Catholics. Mother Mary's talking about she's back and she's sending messages to people and she's creating a grid line in all these various sacred sites right now. About a month ago, I had this vision of this happening. Then I started hearing, feeling more, downloading more, and I started talking about it more. And now it's like becoming a real big buzz in the Christian and or Catholic community and so on. But what's interesting to me is the Christian programs are saying, beware. There's this so-called visions that are coming. It's the Antichrist. Oh, of course it is. And if you cook really great cookies, that's also the Antichrist. Everything's the Antichrist to them. Why can't it be? Just because the Catholics are announcing it more, you condemn it. Why don't we accept the visions of each other? Why can't we honor the Messiah the Jews are waiting? Why can't we honor the Maitreya? Why can't we see that they're all the same? If Jesus is as clever as the Christians say he is, and I assure you he is, I'm sure he'll be able to figure out a way to be all that everybody's waiting for. But why is it so often said, he still can't return until you've made the way ready? What's he waiting for? Us to be perfected? Oh my God. I don't have that kind of time. Like, it's been a long time and it still hasn't happened. What he's waiting for is the preparation is in our minds, our souls. It's our willingness to say we cannot, of ourselves we are nothing. And the Christians are right in that you do need Jesus. But if you ask Jesus, he would say, psst, what they really are missing is what you need is the Christ, which was in me, so you can use me as a focal point. But as soon as you come to me to help you be born again, I'm going to do two things. One, get you used to the idea that the Christ is also in you. And two, that you're going to need the Holy Spirit, the mother aspect of God, to birth it in you. And that's a little too much for some of these folks that think Jesus was God, that left a gone fishing sign on the gates of heaven and came to earth and was God in the earth plane. In a sense, Christ that is part of God did get embodied in a human being, and he pulled it off. He pulled off embodying the presence of God. It's not like God left heaven. It's just that someone accepted their aspect, the aspect of God, the I am presence of God in themselves. And that was no simple task. When you're asking about ascension, one of you, oh my God, and the word acceptance, one of you asked, how do we activate our ascension? You can't go higher in ascension without the acceptance of what you're not. All of your ego stuff, all of your ego ploys, your reactions, your actions, all of your dysfunctions. I mean, in the 12-step programs, I think one of you asked about recovery, in the 12-step programs, it's one of the most brilliant things. The 12-step programs are probably, in a way, more spiritual than any religion. For one reason, if none others, and that is taking responsibility. Just that one piece is enough to say, wow, praise be to you in recovery. Because you got something that religions don't even seem to pull off very well, most of them. To take responsibility, to do an inventory. I'm doubting today. Why? Let me do some inventory. I'm afraid today. I need a drink today. Well, why do you need the drink? See, Christ consciousness isn't going to tell you, shame yourself for needing a drink. It's to teach you why. Christ is not going to condemn. That old saying, Jesus is coming back and he's really ticked off. Or Jesus is coming back and he's sending everybody to hell. Well, then what's the point? What's the point of anything? I'm going to try to be a good Christian? Well, looking at them as an example, I'd rather go to hell. Because they're already in hell. Because judgmental behaviors, thoughts, is hell. When you notice in Revelation and such, there's this thing called the final judgment. Oh God, not that. Yes, the last judgment, you know. It's coming. Oh no. Why do you think we reincarnate? It's so we can spread our time payments of judgment out over lifetimes. So we don't have it all happen in the day of the last judgment. So this is what we do. You know, God, I know I'm pretty much up creek. So I'm just going to make time payments. Maybe that'll help me avoid hell and damnation forever. But you're reincarnating forever, so isn't that still hell? If you're still here paying for your sins, karma, isn't that the definition of hell? It is. So this gets interesting. Where did Jesus go when he was crucified for 3 days? Do you know, some traditions very clearly say he descended into hell. Did you know that? Jesus went to hell? Yes. But what was he doing in hell? Because everybody prior, the legends of the Greek mythology, eventually Roman, all these understanding, people in, cultures and indigenous people, they all in their own way understood when you die, you go into hell, Tartarus. Okay? You go into hell. I thought no. Nobody was able to reach heaven yet. Everybody, the tradition was hell. So Jesus did what all souls do. Died and descended into hell. That's what everybody was doing in those days. All right? So he does what everybody does. But what he does is he brings the light of God into hell, which hell did not expect. Hell being a state of us making judgments on ourselves before we reincarnate to decide what we have to do when we come back. Well, here I am. I just died. Well, you cross the river Styx and, you look at some of your stuff. You feel some pain for the things you've caused others, but you're also given a little dossier, a little program, download, and that you're going to go back and you're going to do this, and you're told, and you reincarnate and do it again. East and West still have the idea that there's some form of judgment and you come back. When Jesus did what he did, he too went into hell. But he served them papers that said, this is over now. The law of grace will override the law of karma. See, nobody had done that before. To do it, it could not have been, hey, I have an idea. You can't think it. He had to be the embodiment of it. So when he lived the consciousness of God, I am presence, Christ on earth, he was bringing absolute perfect love into the universe that was built on separation. And when he did that, and they killed him anyway, they broke their own laws. The law of death, sin, karma, those old laws of East and West got broken the day they murdered someone that was sinless. Because up to that point, the old law said the wages of sin are death, which means because you're flawed as a human being, because you're flawed, you will die. It's your nature. You have to, so that you can get judged and sent back to work on more of your stuff. When Jesus was flawless and killed, the law was now broken to hold people hostage because fear and hate acted out on love, and it can't survive. It can't win over love. So in a way, Jesus, with a grin, knew all this. Going through the torture and the beating and all this stuff, in his heart, he always had a bit of a smile because he knew. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's go ahead with this. Judas, I want you to play out this role. Sanhedrin, play out this role. You guys all do your thing because you thrive on hatred. But you're going to kill me. And when you do, you're going to become powerless. And here's what he means. Even if you judge me, you're no longer fated to go to hell. All you have to do is forgive yourself and you're done. Well, how do we know how to do that? Well, I don't know. Look at me, he's saying. I'm demonstrating this. You had the mythological and pagan stories in the past of how someone is coming, a deliverer, how there's eternal life in Osiris in Egypt, and so on and so on. There's all these stories and myths. Pagan tradition of the green evergreen. There's life even in the darkest, snowiest winters. Those are messages. Jesus showed up and he actually lived it. You kill me and there's still life even in the coldest time. And he resurrects himself. When he does that, he's using, it's funny because he doesn't just use love to break all the laws. He lives the love by being treated the way he was. The hatred killed itself that day. Fear annihilated itself that day. It's amazing. It doesn't look wonderful, but it is wonderful. It's all our perception, really, that has to change. At the end of the day, the Christ that was born in Jesus has to be born in us as well. But here's the good news. It's already there, and it's inevitable that we all remember. It's inevitable. It's not like, man, I hope we pull this off. The only thing that keeps it from happening today is called time. And time's an illusion, which means the only thing that keeps us from awakening isn't even something that's real. So that means all we have to do is get over our illusions. Stop believing that time, karma, fate, family genetics have power over you. If I'm a holy child of God, they don't have power. Here's the catch. That doesn't mean you should say, well, then I won't even drive home. I'll just bilocate. If you don't put gas in your car, you're going to run out of gas. And then you're going to be on the side of the road, somewhere between here and Kentucky or wherever you live. And you're going to be going, how could this happen? This is an illusion. Your test is not to get the fuel in the car. Your test is to forgive yourself if you forgot. It's not about acting so perfectly and masterfully. Even ascension is accurate because it just means we're shifting into higher dimensional consciousness, which we are. But how can I get there with judgment? That immediately cancels it out. I don't care what herbs you eat. I don't care what you smoke or whatever you people do, to try to fake enlightenment. Just because you see pretty colors. That happens when brain cells are dying. So you're not impressing me with, oh, look, I'm seeing critters, cats with wings. That's nice. That's good for you. If you're not loving, you're not ascending. It's that simple. And the most dramatic demonstration of love is the act of forgiveness. But there's different understandings of forgiveness. Any forgiveness is good forgiveness. Even if you think of somebody and go, I totally hate them, but fine, I forgive you. That's absolutely non-sincere. But you know what? It's a step in the right direction. Because the day before that, you might have said never. Fine, jerk. I forgive you, jerk face. I don't mind if you say that. I'm not going to be like, oh, the ears of Jesus are harmed. Baby Jesus is crying because of your behavior. I don't mind. It's a movement in the right direction. You're going to eventually move further and further into, okay, I'm calling upon the Holy Spirit to teach me what forgiveness is. Help me to forgive. Less attitude. And then it's going to be, oh my God, I'm feeling like a bit of a shift towards them. Doesn't mean I move in with them again. It doesn't. It's the forgiveness is here. I don't have to do anything now on the outside. I feel more peace. Still, it's another step. Then there's going to be a step where you say, and I've shared this recently again, but there's a step where you say, wait a minute, especially if you do the programs, that along the lines of responsibility, you start to go, well, this is strange because I feel like I've done forgiveness on them. And there were like 10 of them that I feel like I've worked on forgiveness for in the last 10 years. But here's the weird thing I say to myself. I'm the common denominator. I had to forgive all of them for betraying me or throwing me under the bus or whatever it was. But it's a pattern and it's mine. They might have only betrayed one person. Each of them cheated on one. I had 10. At some point, I got to go, uh-oh. Look in the mirror, cleaning up my side of the street, looking in the mirror. It doesn't mean your ego's going to say, oh, fine. Go ahead and take responsibility. Go ahead. Then what you're doing is you're blaming yourself. And it wasn't your fault. Those mean people, you'll be like, oh, that's what I thought. And then you're back to that again. Back to judging. You're going to need to get to a point where, get behind me, Satan. I'm on a roll here, and I don't want to hear this garbage. Because I was there before, and it didn't bring me peace. I do understand their behaviors were selfish. I do understand their behaviors were not kind or whatever. I'm not in denial. But what I'm doing is I'm shifting into my part. Why did I have that happen 10 times? They treated me like I had no value, 10 of them. And I look here and I say, wow, where in me did I believe that I had no value? What makes you think you had that? Because there were 10 witnesses that brought it home. Hi, we're just messengers. Now you're forgiving not the outside, but the inside. See? And now there's a third step, which is that place of God, where there's nothing left to forgive. We think that God is the ultimate judge. And in Judgment Day, God metes out the final judgment on everybody, which apparently, just about everybody ends up in hell. That's kind of wicked. But what really happens is on the ultimate judgment day is we're willing to accept the final lesson from God, which on earth, which is judgment serves no purpose. And we stop judging. The final judgment means the final last judgment. We no longer choose to judge. I have to do that personally. I can't wait for beings from the stars to come and make me do it. I have to do that. Forgiving others, forgiving self, and stepping into God. And when I step into God, you can do this. There's a shortcut in a way, which is while you're still forgiving others and self, keep bringing God into it to help you practice forgiveness. Don't say, I'm working on it. I'll be with you soon. You better say, show me how. Holy Spirit of God, show me, teach me how to think as you think, how to see things as you see. And it's amazing because this veil drops. Where before I saw enemies and traitors and whatever else, and the veil drops and I don't just see things differently, I feel differently. I feel peace where I hadn't felt peace before. And you know what you're actually doing? You're birthing the Christ. To return to Christ, you don't just count on external ascension. It's an internal, I call it an inscension. My consciousness is changing primarily not through a special herbal formula. It's through a process called forgiveness. And it'll start crude with, people and blaming and shaming. And you're not wrong for that. It's just, you're human. To err is human. So you're going to throw out all kinds of opinions. This person did this person. But eventually it's like the sea just parts. And you realize, wow, everything. If I do a talk and I open it up for applause, the results are things I've already believed in myself. If everybody put their thumbs down and said that was the worst talk we've ever heard, you're not very kind, but you know what? Why am I experiencing that? It has to be mirroring some doubts in me somewhere. And I have to forgive myself. And we all have to look at the world is a mirror, bless you. The world is a mirror. The whole universe is nothing but a large mirror showing us how we feel about God and self mainly. And it's mirrored through others, God, self, and others. So this is a place of amazing awakening, amazing opportunity, but it's not one that you just wait for. It's one that you have to live. The world becomes redeemed because I, in my consciousness, become redeemed. I start to see things differently, and the shortest cut to that is asking God to show you how. See, Jesus said, forgive them, they know not what they do. That was his way of saying, I'm not going to judge by what they're doing on the outside. It doesn't mean your family members that were verbally or physically cruel, you should go hang out with them. Sometimes that's the lesson, to say no. It might send a message to them this life or another where they go, I remember you said no, and I got to look at that. Enabling the behavior in some ways continues the behavior. Oh, by all means, please. Would you like me to step up and be abused some more for you all? So that doesn't need to happen anymore. And especially, it was never needed, but it's our belief systems when we thought we were flawed beings. So much so, there was no hope. And the wages of sin, meaning any doubts in yourself, are death. So imagine living at another time where your teachers were saying, listen, let me tell you about sacred geometry, ascension, wow, everything's cool, herbology, wow, everything's just amazing. But we'll now close today's workshop with saying, doesn't really matter because you're flawed, you're still going to hell. What was the point? Just give me more potent herbs and I'll get there sooner. I'm like, what's the point? If I'm just going to die and be all guilty, and it wouldn't have served any good. But that's the fear people lived in. And we still live in a state of fear. But the light has been turned on now. And we have another alternative called grace. And the grace isn't something you earn as much as some people think. It is acceptance. The acceptance of what? Who I really am. Who determines that? God, when it created me. This is not by my doing. This is, I knew this as a kid where people were, it was all about becoming a great being, becoming a powerful being, the mind and and I was like, oh, okay, so I'm trying to become a great being. Only to realize, and A Course in Miracles is very misunderstood, because A Course in Miracles is all about forgiveness, Christ consciousness, etc. But the book actually is telling you, just like the Ten Commandments, the Ten Commandments were never actually expecting you to pull it off. The Ten Commandments were really showing you what you won't be able to pull off. And A Course in Miracles, what's the point of reading 1,000 pages just to find out I can't do it? Because the book is going and do this and this and this. Oh, tried, failed, tried, failed, tried, failed. What's the point of this book? Because it's teaching you and forgive yourself. Then you've gotten the book. It isn't the words. It isn't the letters. It's the message is love and forgiveness. And it's funny. You got to read 1,000 pages and do 365 workbook lessons every year. And you got to memorize the Tantras and Sutras of Buddhism. And for what purpose? It was never because the more things you memorize, the more mantras, right? It was never that's what makes you holy. Oh, I've got this new mantra that makes me holy. It can't. You're already holy. The fact that you think you need to do a mantra to be holy already proves you don't believe it yet. That doesn't mean don't do the mantra. It means do it, but smile. I'm already holy, I'm already holy, I'm already holy. Isn't this funny that I'm pretending I'm not, but I'm already holy? In a way, you do that. You do the workbook lessons. Nothing I see means anything. And then you trip and fall and you broke your leg. Oh my God. Nothing I see means anything. Oh yeah, that's exactly how I feel right now. Somebody left the chair out and I tripped over it. As far as I'm concerned, I hate people. They leave things for me to trip over and, oh, these humans. But then you learn and laugh and go, I get it. And when you get the laughter of it all, you're actually proving you get it more than when you're all serious. I'm repeating a mantra and I'm going to fast for 800 days. And all that seriousness, it kind of says something. Christ consciousness, it's the laughter. When they selected a replacement for the Buddha when he was passing away, there's a saying, a legend that they gathered and gathered every day. All these monks gathered and who is he going to pass the title down to? Who's going to be the leader of these monks and so forth? And every day they all sat and Buddha sat and they never figured out who it was. Long time. And then one day, one of the monks started laughing and he said, that's him. Because you had the courage to go, this is getting old. You had some thought and then you laughed. You dared to have a thought. Whatever your thought was, is Buddha wearing underwear under that cloak? Whatever your thought was, you had the courage to laugh because, oh my God, this world's an illusion and I got it. And you laughed. That's the one. The one that can see through it will laugh a little more. I'm not talking about cruel laughing at someone. I'm talking about the lightness that comes from, and none of this is real. One of the lost books of the Bible describes Jesus on the way to the crucifixion. On his way, that he looked at these women at the side of the road. It's in one of the lost Gospels. It is. And he says to them, don't believe what you see. And he smiled at them. The movies, I hate humans. Look what they're doing to me. Oh my God, this is terrible. That's not what he was doing. He's feeling it and smiling. That's the power of Christ in us. You go through that divorce and you feel it. You don't pretend you don't, but you surrender it to God. Here's what I'm feeling. Treated unfairly. Here's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling slighted or hurt or cheated financially. But you know what? My thoughts mean nothing. What I want are your thoughts. You show me what I deserve. And you'll resurrect more quickly from all of life's crucifixions. And as part of closing, even the concept of Forgiveness. As I said, there's these levels of describing these various levels of forgiveness. There's this one that the Buddhists would say that's the highest form of forgiveness. It's called compassion. Oh, wow. And some of you already go, yes. And it is compassion, which means love. I forgive you because I feel compassion. I understand your pain. That's not the highest, believe it or not. The highest level of compassion is not the Buddhist level, it's the Christ consciousness version. Because you know what? In the Christ consciousness version, there's nothing to forgive. There's nothing to feel pity or compassion or sympathy or empathy or anything for anybody. I don't have to go, oh, I'm going to feel compassion for you. That still means there's a problem that needs compassion. You get that? And I don't push that too often because it can offend some people because they have shirts that say compassion's number one, baby, or whatever. Compassion all the way. So I let them be where they are. But my quest is to understand, can I get to the level of consciousness where there's nothing to feel forgiveness for, where there's nothing to feel compassion for, because your holiness is here now. You see? And I know, ever since I was a kid, I remember people talking in spiritual circles and all that, and they would say, oh, I developed this way of forgiving people. What do? Well, for example, I go through the grocery line, and the checkers, mean, and I'm like, hi, how are you? Oh, that's none of your business, and whatever. And but they say, but I'm so forgiving. You know what I did? It's okay. They probably lost a loved one this week. And so you have to make up some story about why they're rude. I'm going to forgive you because you've probably gone through a lot. I think it's interesting. They might have said, no, actually, not until you walked in my line did I feel anything of misery. You have to own the fact that your story doesn't make them worthy of forgiveness. In fact, why are you projecting that on me? Now I've got this heavy energy. Now the checker's even more miserable because people are walking through going, that's okay. We understand why you're a jerk. Now I've carried this weight. That I knew when I was a kid and hearing people say that. I was like, oh, that's lovely. And I'm thinking, no, something's wrong with that. Because I'm having to project negatives on you, reasons why you are what I'm judging you to be. My job is to say, despite the way you look, speak, act, how can I see the Christ in you? That's my job. And I don't mean you stay in the line. I'm waiting, If I don't see it now, I leave and I sit in the car and I still forgive myself. And if I still get home and still think about that jerk at the checker, I need to continue that forgiveness until you feel a little shift. It might be total, amazing shift, or at least a minor. But that's when you know you've allowed it to take root. And it's okay if you talk real blunt. God, what was I thinking? I was projecting all this. It's okay. Get all that out. And you can say sorry to the soul behind that, checking counter. Aisle 2. I'm so sorry, and her name was Shirley. And sorry, Shirley, I can see this wasn't about me needing to forgive you because of how messed up you are. You were mirroring me. That I was hiding from some things like people that disrespect me in public. So that's my trigger, being disrespected. That's what I need to forgive. Not you for acting it out, me for having it. Sorry, Shirley, and then you go back. Maybe a week later, and you go to aisle 2, and they're like, excuse me, ma'am, that register doesn't work. Oh, I was looking for Shirley. We don't have a Shirley here. Those kinds of things happen. Well, no, she was working, and no, that register hasn't worked in weeks. Oh, good one. Good one. Jesus or an angel or some Holy Spirit or whatever, manifested that. That happened to me in high school, my last year in high school. There was this teacher that, things weren't, going real well. And there was this one class that everybody was just the kids, we were just unruly, didn't want to be there and so on. And they went through like 4 and 5 teachers and none of them could handle us. It's not like we were, like what you see in the movies, some movies, but it was just disrespectful and loud and obnoxious and whatever. And they went through several. And then they finally got to this one. Her name was Linda. And she came in and she just said, I just want you to know I've heard a lot about you. We're like, yeah, man. We got a reputation, man. Isn't that cool? I've heard a lot about you, and there's been stealing from the things in this shop and so on and so on. And they've tried to make you check things out so that people stop stealing, so that you'll sign back in when you return some of the equipment. She goes, I'm not going to do any of that. We're like, score. Score. This is great. Oh, I'm going to trust you. I mean, we're just like, this is cool. She's so naive. She's just going to, take out any equipment you want. I trust you to bring it back. The first reaction was that. But I swear to you, stuff that was taken was brought back. We respected her love for us so much, we all brought things back. We did. I took a couple things too. I did. I had on my stereo, man. I had an oscilloscope. Felt like I was in a submarine. Boop, boop, and I had things at night because I was always on restriction anyway. So the lights would be off in my room and I could just look at the lights on my stereo. I had no idea what any of the lights did. I just knew that if I turned on switch, I got this little thing going. So I just wow, so many gadgets. And this lady trusted us. What she did was she evoked the Christ in us by trusting the Christ in us. You don't hope that person becomes nicer. You affirm it there. That's what Mother Mary did when she saw her son being killed, murdered. She had to keep saying, I know that this was the Christ. This can't be happening. She expected him to live out being the Christ in a certain form. Watching her son be murdered was not on the menu. And yet she kept saying, despite what I think I see, he is the Christ. And that's actually one of the powers that gave him the ability to come back to life. If she would have lost faith, it might have affected his ability to have the faith in himself. You and I have to see the Christ in each other, or there is no birth of the Christ. We have to have that faith and that knowing that despite what you think they do, your child who's a drug addict, I'm not saying they're going to stop doing drugs. It's just that they stand more of a chance when you see the healthy them. You're also allowed to say, in my house, those behaviors have to align with healthiness. And they may or may not align. And if they don't, let them go. But you, in your life, have to stand by healthiness. And know inside your heart, even if on the outside I say get out, on the inside, I still know it's going to happen for you. It's impossible for you to not ever know the Christ in you. Have that faith. And that teacher did that for us. We returned things. She was magnificent. She was magnificent. And, a year or two later, I wanted to go say hi to her and let her know that I started teaching spiritual things and all that. She never existed. I tried and tried and tried. I went to the school. They say, well, it sounds like it was a substitute. Yes, no record whatsoever. And I mean, I made every call, went to all the offices, and there was no knowing of her existence. They knew the other teachers that I remember saying, well, there was a guy like this. And yeah, that was so-and-so. That was Bill. That was, whomever. And I couldn't find her. But I'm not saying she didn't exist at all. She may or may not have. All I know is something was so magical that even if she existed, Spirit was saying, let the experience be the thing to appreciate, not the girl, not the person, not the woman, not the whatever. And it was very just, wow, hope. See, that's Christmas. I was at school. I was miserable. Nobody understood me, etc. And that woman, probably the second week she was there, she said, everybody start your projects except you, Michael. You come with me. And, the guys were like, ooh. But the teacher brought me in her office and she would ask, what did you dream about last night? She would do dream interpretation, taught me how to bend spoons with my mind. This is what we did in shop class. She and I in her office. She saw something, and thank God, because then she was an embodiment of the Holy Spirit, the Divine Mother, helping to birth this kid into something new. How have you been the mother to others? Have you been? If not, start. Have you been Christed by others, where people saw hope in you despite what other people might have thought? Good. Be sure to thank them, because it could have been a worse creation for you. You might have manifested far differently, and you didn't, so give thanks. Please take a few centering breaths. We're going to do candle lighting as part of our meditation for today. So we're not so much doing just a meditation, but we're going to do a candle lighting and then our closing prayer. The chaplains are going to come around, and I assume everybody's got a candle, but if you don't, raise your hand. One here. If you don't have a candle, just stand and wave at the chaplains that are up and down the aisles. There's supposedly one over there somewhere. Okay? So the chaplains are going to light up your life. No, don't. Don't sing that song. Please. Please be my mother and birth me into a new place and not sing that. They're going to light the candles of the people on the aisle, and you're going to light down the line. And as you're doing that, I would like you to be aware of something, that you're lighting each other's light. It's kind of like a ceremony. When you light someone else's candle, think in terms of, I am committed to seeing the light in you. Now let's do that for a few minutes. There are little horizontal thingies that your candles are sitting in, holders. Try not to tilt your candle and spill wax. Well, it's not the fire, it's the wax on the floor we'd like to avoid. But if you happen to spill, we forgive you. Just be sure to be here tomorrow to clean up the wax. The Christ, it's the shaman of all shaman, the healer of all healers, the master of all masters. It's a different role. You know, forgiveness is not the act we thought it was. It's a shift in consciousness. It's actually a shift in beliefs. It's a shift from believing other people even had the power to cause you harm. See? If I need to forgive you, it means you had the power to do something that I now need to forgive you for. Right? Real forgiveness is, I let you off the hook of that. Which means my beliefs shift into, I am not powerless. And you do not do to me. You are me. What I believe about myself, I'll see through my interactions with you. Look at the light you're holding. Gaze at it for a moment. You can have your eyes open. If it goes out, you can use the candle next to you. Just let them know you're doing it so they don't get startled, and relight your candle. If you're online and you don't have a candle, it's okay. Just do it later if you'd like. The idea is first, look at the candlelight. Asking the Holy Spirit to reveal and download to you what it means to you. And you can also be open to your own thoughts and feelings. Be aware of where the candle is. Don't spill on yourself. Be aware of yourself, your body, your hair, and all that. But just look at the candle. What does it symbolize? It's like the sun, the fire of the sun. It brings warmth and light. Oh, that's symbolic of Christ. Oh, it's the light in me. It's the light in my heart. It's inspiration for my art. Those kinds of things. Just let yourself ask, what does this light represent to me? Look at the candle. Eyes open first. What does this symbolize? hope. You know, people that feel hopeless and hurt, they've lost that light inside themselves. The fire's gone out. That's what that light, oh, this is hope. People all around the world, starving people. This is a light that they're looking for. See, let it download. It is right for people to literally have candlelight when they live in darkness because of a storm. It's right for people to light candles and to have symbols of candles on Christmas cards, lights on trees to symbolize those candle lights. It's all beautiful. Let it download. And when you're ready, you're going to blow out the light. Be careful to put one hand behind the flame. You're going to blow out the light, but when you do, don't do it until you feel you can believe in the light even if you don't see it. You keep holding your candle as you are. You don't set it down after it's out. You don't lay it down or tilt it. Just keep holding it, but when you're ready, you blow it out and close your eyes and see if you can still see the light. Can you still believe in the light? It's an act of faith. The light still burns. Your parents may have passed away without knowing this light. I don't care what they did. It might have been illegal, immoral, and so on. It's not the point. The point is, can you say, I'm allowing myself to see this light for you? Your ex, your children, I am absolutely committed to being an embodiment of the Divine Mother and seeing your light even when you believe you can't. The last few people, when you're ready, blow out your candle, as long as you're willing to still believe in it. Let the candle cool, let the wax harden. Can you still see that light in your mind's eye? The light symbolizes the light I was born to be. And even when my eyes are closed, which is a symbol of living in a world of darkness, fear, judgment, etc., trauma, post-trauma, I can still see, feel, and believe in the light. That means you're rising in consciousness. You can't ascend without knowing the truth of God. That's why we ascend, because of our willingness to live at higher levels of consciousness. Hark, the herald. The angels sing. The birthing of the Christ is happening. Let your hearts swell with gratitude. You do not have to defeat this world. You do not have to create defenses during these times of change. Instead, let's know God is already taking care of us. We're already remembering. We're determined to see things differently and remember who we are. With that in mind, a nice deep breath of gratitude, and for about a minute, sounds of gratitude. Keep going, breathe when you need to. Let your soul sing. Let your soul sing. Let all beings through the universe hear this sound. keep going. And imagine angels standing behind you with their hands on your shoulder blades, birthing wings out of you. And as you're toning, the toning of heaven throughout the earth, imagine that children that are suffering in any way, at any time in humanity's existence, somehow can hear this sound. They're hidden away. They're hiding under a bed. Look at their eyes getting wide like they can hear something magnificent. Men and women, losses and deaths, war and crisis, famine, the dark ages of any time period in any country. Indigenous people being invaded. Peace to you all. Peace, peace, peace. Despite human behaviors, I affirm your peace and happiness. And open your hands to receive this for yourself as well. Good. Soak it in, breathe it in. Let the Christ that was born in Jesus be born in you as well. And so it is. Take your time coming back into the room. Let it be nice, gradual, integrated process. You're all invited. We thank you for joining us here today. And you're all invited to join us on January 7th after service. We'll be doing my once-a-year workshop called Co-Creating a New Life. If you're interested in joining us, you can watch it online or you can join us live. While everybody's into the feeling of what just happened in meditation, can anyone share what happened, specifically not the talk, but the meditation? Can anyone share during the candle lighting? What did you see, think, feel, experience? Yes?
I received it was the father of my child came through, saying how he helped me, the lesson was freedom.
Nice.
And I thought it was freedom from him.
Oh.
But in the candle, it was the true freedom was seeing that
Wow.
he's loved.
Wow. A feeling, if your focus was on freedom, and then assumed that it was an ex-husband that you're going to try to attain freedom from, only to realize it was much bigger and it's in you. Yeah? That's fantastic. Thank you, sweetheart. Can you put your hands on the back of her shoulders for a second, please? Thank you. Good, good. Just soak that in. I'm glad you have safe people around you. That's important for you to understand. His behavior isn't the only thing for you to know. That is and was, it's no more to be. Okay? You're going to accept your deservability. And for just, half a minute, thanks for allowing them, but their hands on you. Love. A safe male, safe friends, putting a hand of love. That's really beautiful. Everybody in this group and everybody online, please believe the same for yourself. Anyone else from the meditation? What did you see or experience or feel? Anybody? A lot of you are still in. I see eyes closed. But yes.
This candle represented for me the light and the reigniting of the deepest, and this was my prayer, the deepest embodiment of my divine nature, particularly in my service in this world.
Wow.
And I held it in the air, and then when you blew it out, I went visualizing it inside me, and then I had my hand up, and the candle was out, but I saw like fire coming out of my hand, and I had to
Wow.
hold my hand over my eyes, and I realized, oh, it's
That's fantastic. You know, the light representing her true self and her purpose, but also she was saying at the end of that something in her mind, she saw her hand ignite with fire, flame, so much so that she had to open her eyes because she thought her hand caught on fire, and it wasn't. And that's the Holy Spirit. That's the Divine Mother showing her light in you. That's fantastic.
And I specifically called on the Divine Mother.
And you called on the Divine Mother specifically, and there she was. Nice. Nice. Yes. Hi.
So, the flame represented for me the fire, the eternal fire of the Spirit, the great.
The flame symbolized the eternal fire of spirit. Yep.
Yeah, and the strength of the human heart, that the love, the unconditional love that expresses itself in so many forms.
Oh, beautiful.
Opportunities for us to bring it through
Yeah.
to the world.
Beautiful. And unconditional love. That's fantastic. Thank you for that. I hope you understood and believe in downloading this to people all over the world and throughout all time. Use your imagination. It's your highest faculty, human faculty, is your imagination. It's not what people taught you in school, which is daydreaming and worthless. It's your highest human faculty. So practice imagining that people are blessed because of your goodness, that people are blessed when you send them blessings of support. Somewhere out there, you know, there's elders that are light workers around a fire in some indigenous group, great. And they can hear you. They know how to see and hear. They know how to open portals and see this room, even if they were 10,000 years ago. They know how to do that. It's not just them. There's also people literally who have said to me, do you know, when I was young, I was going through a lot, or some people, I was suicidal, for example, and they say, and I saw this being show up. Do you know that sometimes those beings showing up are us sending them this blessing? Sometimes it's an angel in real time showing to them. But I'm telling you, sometimes it's us appearing to them. And all you have to do is want to care enough about people to time travel to them, because time's an illusion. It's like nothing. My love for you, people anywhere, a person, even another planet or dimension, anyone that's experiencing trauma, which is defined as anything that lacks love's presence. Anyone out there experiencing such a thing, I'm here. And I can't speak alone. If I say I'm here, we're here. And that we includes God. So thank you. Did you want to share?
There are three people toward whom I still have resentment that I've worked with constantly. And during the meditation, I held the candle out to them and lit their candle.
Wow.
Person
Nice.
after person that I love.
People that you felt resentment for, and you visualized lighting their candle. That's fantastic. And just close that for 10 to 30 seconds, closing your eyes, imagining your candle with no light, and imagine them lighting it. Yeah, thank you. All right. Our love offering. Please be as generous as you can be. The love offerings that go in the purple bags are your general love offerings for Sundays. Any extra donations in the wicker baskets. And online you can do either of those two kinds of donations, but we appreciate it. Just be as generous as you can be. Hold your love offering sincerely to your heart center. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. All righty. So while they're passing those around, a couple quick announcements. Remember, the concert this afternoon, it's only a couple hours away. So you have time to go get lunch and come back. It was timed that way for a reason. We won't do all the usual announcements because it's a holiday weekend, but do know this, that we're here tomorrow. In case you have no family and you'd like to be with spiritual family, we always provide. There's munchies. You can bring something, but sign up what you're bringing in the foyer. But you can bring munchies, and what we'll do is, we'll have some munchies in the morning around noon, and we'll be watching a movie. So we'll pick a nice, cool spiritual kind of movie, and it'll be on the screen up here, this whole wall. But it's really, really cool. If you can join us, we appreciate it. Or if you have family you want to get away from, we're here for you. Yeah. Forgive them and then come on over to our place. Those of you on social media, we appreciate you joining us. Watching YouTube later or whatever day or time you're watching this, today or later, some other day you might watch it after the fact. Thank you for being with us. We wish everybody happy holidays, holy days I call them, happy holy days. Let's see. And then we'll have our New Year's service a week from today, where we'll do our evening, New Year's Eve, burning bowl ceremony. So you're welcome to join us for that. And let's see. New Year's service. And then, like I said, we have our workshop, Co-Creating a New Life. I think that's all the main announcements. Okay?
Yes. It's one of the announcements I know.
Say it again.
It's a curtain at 9.
Oh, a Kirtan event. I think they announced that already. Yeah. So Christmas Eve, there is a Kirtan gathering. New Year's Eve, there is an event with the Kirtan, the music and the movement. And so look at the flyers online or in the foyer. Get a flyer for that. So you have some things to do, to be able to enjoy the holy days. The concert today, besides the service, and then tomorrow our movie and snacks, and then Kirtan a week from now, and so on, okay? And our New Year's service, which includes the burning bowl. Nice way to bid farewell to the past. All right? Anybody last want to share how the service was for you, or anything you learned in the teaching and talking and learning and so on? Yes?
Just real quick, when you mentioned the part about the indigenous people and about, being invaded,
Yeah.
I remembered that it only takes a small percentage of people to impact a difference and
Right.
a shift. And so instead of going into worry about them,
Right.
it was like, we are helping them and they can
Right.
feel what we're
Even in big tragic scenarios of people, nations being taken over and slaughtered in mass in some cases, just decimated, that it only takes a few light workers to reignite hope. Remember, if Jesus resurrected from crucifixion, so can a nation, so can a family, so can a child. Thank you. Yes?
When we were lighting the candle, I had these visions of all the past lives that I've lit candles in prayer, but also my ancestors. This lineage of
Wow, nice.
before me.
You were able to see the lineage of family and light workers through
One
history.
feminine in
Nice.
my lineage that has lit candles all over the
So nice, so cool. Thank you. Thank you. Yes?
In the fire, I really felt the love for my mother. It was very powerful for me, and just seeing the strength that she's offered me throughout my life. And
Wow.
That's really transformed me. It's allowed me to have a moment with her.
Wow. You had a nice healing experience with your mother. And
She opened her hands.
and with you saying that, try to imagine there's the Divine Mother, cosmically manifest as what we call the Universal Mother. The Universal Mother manifests as, for example, the Earth Mother. The Earth Mother as Mother Mary, archetype, but also the nurturer in all of us. Yet imagine that the Universal Mother, who manifests all the way down in individuals' moms, but imagine when those moms have messed up, or dads, or sisters, or brothers, or when people have messed up, in a way, the mother, it's a cell within the mother that hasn't yet been brought to complete healing with us. It's a part of her that chose, not that she's off, but we're her manifestations. We're her children and we're acting off. So the divine mother, the universal mother, is aware of every one of us. As the Bible says, not a bird can fall from the sky without her knowing. Not a hair can fall from your head without her knowing. So your mom, any being that's been off, is a part of her that we haven't allowed to be seen, healed in us. So when you have that healing, the actual universal mother has one more cell in her that's been brought to light, that's been allowed to be what she really is. Because she's only mirroring to us our beliefs. As much as she wants to only mirror love and light, if we're not yet total love and light, she has to keep mirroring these dysfunctional programs for us to learn and release. Then thank you. So what you experience with your mom is for all moms, all mothers. Yes?
I have like a question/information need.
Okay.
So, if there's an old tradition, there is a negative connotation on reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
But if the stream of consciousness is Jesus, if the stream of consciousness is in me today, when you say that the law of grace breaks the law of karma.
True. Grace breaks karma. That's right.
So that means that if karma is thought and grace is alignment, does that mean that we are moving into a state of individual and collective conscious creation rather than unconscious creation?
The fact that grace is being allowed. And I'll say, this Christmas, more than any other Christmas in your history, try to make as holy as possible. Try to burn the right scents in your house and watch the cute cartoons and have some sort of lights. And if you have none, a candle. And you know what? Don't make excuses. If it's a flashlight, I don't care. Turn on a flashlight. Some form of light to say, I am refusing to believe in darkness. Let the light of Christmas be birthed in you and let it shine for other people. I'm very proud of our board members. We collected funds. Some of you donated, thank you. But also the board members all pitched in financially, probably as much as everyone else collectively. This handful of board members you guys have here. We pulled all our money together and we went out and gave it out to people in need. The tears, the stories, the miracles, I mean, it's astounding to do that. But everybody should do that as a daily practice. But I'm grateful that we do that every Christmas, every year. We go out to places and, hand, $50 bills or whatever, to people and man, to see the shock and because see, they've learned to believe that doesn't exist anymore. And we are here to say, yes, it does. We are not going to allow ourselves to believe in the darkness and the hopelessness. There's light, and it takes the form of kindness at times. And so, in part of what you're saying, yes, that getting into alignment is like grace. Horizontal is almost like reincarnation. And I reincarnate one life after another. It's like this. And then you can look at your lifetimes, read your Akashic records. Oh, that's been an amazing journey, really. You're no higher. You're no higher. Well, yeah, but I only had 3 issues this time. Yeah, but 8 lifetimes ago you had 2. You think you're evolving. If you're no higher, you're not evolving. You're just getting by. And evolving, going to higher, can only happen through forgiveness. The studies help, exercises help, healing techniques help. They all help, but they help us to believe we're deservable for forgiveness. I mean, forgiveness is really the only fast track. And if all the other things work, herbal tea, which is great, nutrients, exercise, if all those things work, I think it's great. But they will not work instantaneously like forgiveness. So do them. Create healthier habits. Drink tea instead of whatever weird stuff you've drank in the past. Drink tea. Hang out with nicer people. Create it's called a happy dream. It's still part of this world, but at least it's starting to warp higher into not a nightmare dream, but a happier dream. And eventually, the happier dream will collapse completely into the knowingness of God.
So the reincarnation is not shame anymore, but rather just what is.
If you reincarnate, you have to be carrying a certain amount of shame. You have to. Because if I've done something and there's no shame, it's gone. I would have had to forgive to not feel shame. And I'm not anti-reincarnation. Been there, done that, I know I lived before, but never again. No, sorry. And don't be, if you're one of those people, well, I decided never again. I'm affirming I will never reincarnate. You're coming back. As soon as there's an energy around it, you're certainly coming back. Yes.
Would you say then lack of forgiveness is just resistance to what is a resistance? What is our Christ nature in ourselves and others?
That's exactly right. Say it one more time.
That
The lack of forgiveness
is a resistance
is
to what is.
our resistance
Is our resistance
to what is.
And what is our Christ nature.
And what is our Christ nature. See, that's like powerful. Lack of forgiveness isn't accidental. It's not coincidence. It's lacking forgiveness is actually our attempt to prolong our remembrance. I just reworded it, but is what she said. It's a resistance. It's a defense against our holiness. Even if you justify it, guys, whatever, oh, well, I'm 8 more lifetimes, I think I'll have it. I don't want to hear it. It's all, I know what it is. You're afraid of love. I get it. I've reincarnated. We've all been afraid of the total acceptance of who we are. Because we're more afraid of our light than our darkness. And if you don't believe that, why are you here? Still in a dark universe. Take a spaceship, let it shoot you out into space, then step outside and take a walk and see how long you last. But yet, this dark universe is more attractive than, here I am, Lord. It's amazing. It's actually demented. But laugh at it. Be able to laugh at it. Because when you can laugh at it, you can say, and today I choose again. Let your will be done in and through me. Let's close with a song. Please stand. Here's your pen. Thank you. We're going to have a special last song for now, and then the concert's in a couple of hours. Our prayer first, but don't leave, just stay standing for the song. The light of God surrounds us.
We are the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
We are the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
We are the presence of God.
Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Do you believe that? Yes. Do you know that?
Yes.
And so it is. Peace be with all of you. Please stay standing for the few minutes song. And then we'll hope to see you all. Remember to sign up in the foyer for this afternoon's concert. Thank you.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing up in the fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells time, jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing and jingle bells swell. In the frosty air, what a bright time, it's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time, it's the swell time to Oh,